And of course, we had the other New Year's Day tragedy, I guess you could call it, shock. And that would be the Cybertruck explosion in front of the Las Vegas Trump Hotel. This was an interesting one. Okay. At first, we didn't know what was going on. We thought it just was some weird thing. Was it just a Cybertruck blowing up as usual? Because we know Cybertrucks be blowing up on the daily for fun. So nobody really knew what was going on, right? And eventually, as time came out, we found out that a man named, what's his name? Do I have his name? Matthew Livelsberger, who was a Green Beret and an active Army soldier who was on leave, took a Cybertruck to the Trump Towers and exploded the Cybertruck with him inside of it. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, which they found out later. He died, and 7 other people were injured with minor injuries. Thank you. Thank God, just minor injuries. But eventually, through the investigation, the police found that this was, intentional. He had gas cans in the trunk. He had guns with him. Like, this was an intentional thing that he did. And he killed himself with a self-inflicted gun wound. Okay? And what's so interesting is we also found out that Matthew Livelsberger was also a Trump supporter, an ardent Trump supporter. Interesting. So a Trump supporter took a Cybertruck made by Elon Musk, who is now our de facto president, and parked it in front of Trump Towers, who is now our de facto vice president, and then exploded it. What message is he trying to send there, do you think? And it's even more interesting the fact that he is a Trump supporter. What message do you think he's trying to send? Well, in the wreckage, they also found 2 phones, one of which they were able to access, and they were able to pull some notes that he had made on his phone explaining why he did what he did. And here is a couple quotes from his actual letters or his actual notes. And by the way, it was notes from the phone. I saw people in comment sections being like, how could they find paper in an exploded Tesla? It wasn't paper, it was his phone. Okay. And they were able to only access one. And I'm not a tech, but I don't think that's probably anything that's too hard to do. But anyway, here's the quote. Quote, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves, end quote. Here's another quote. Quote, we are the United States of America, the best country of people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed toward collapse, end quote. Y'all heard that? He said, we are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. This is an interesting statement coming from a Trump supporter when Trump just got elected. So you would think that he would think that the new administration coming in was going to fix things if he was a Trump supporter. So I just think it's such an interesting thing. What is this saying? I mean, will we ever know? Who knows? Maybe as they release more of the letter, we'll know. But I just think it's an interesting thing for him to say when Trump is coming into office, that we are led by weak and feckless leadership. And I mean, honestly, I agree. But I also think this is a great description of Trump. Because this motherfucker is letting a billionaire take over our entire government. Because why? Anything to make a buck. Anything to make a buck. He said, quote, right now we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse, end quote. I don't think he's wrong. He sees the writing on the wall, or he saw the writing on the wall. And he made sure in his letters to let people know that from his perspective, this wasn't a terrorist attack. He called it a stunt. He said that's the only way that you can get the people's attention, by doing stunts. And what better of a stunt than to put fireworks, because he had fireworks along with, gasoline cans and other explosive, flammable material in his truck. So, I'm like, what message? One can only speculate what message, but to me, the message is pretty clear. He took Elon Musk's truck, the person that nobody on MAGA voted for. And we've been witnessing in the last week or so a MAGA civil war between MAGA and the new technocrats who are moving in and taking over the MAGA, trying to take over the MAGA movement. Right? All the tech bros, the Elons versus the Steve Bannons, okay? The Laura Loomers versus the Vivek Ramaswamis, okay? And so we've been seeing this divide happening of MAGA people who are like, what, hold up, wait a minute, we didn't elect Elon in it. Okay? Because Elon talking about H-1B immigrants coming to this country to work in the tech industry, and how Americans are too dumb to work in the tech industry. And MAGA's losing their shit because their hard line in the sand was immigration. And now Vivek and Elon, the real president of our country, is now sitting here talking about he bringing in more immigrants. So I think it's interesting that after this whole debate and this beef between MAGA and the technocrats, this MAGA, hardcore MAGA, his family said so as well, this hardcore MAGA follower decided to rent a Tesla truck and explode it while simultaneously ending his life in front of a Trump tower. To me, the message is clear, but you never know. You never know with these MAGA people, because he does actually support Trump. So I'm just like, who knows? But to me, the message is pretty clear. What do you think the message is?